in Waco, Texas continues, where federal authorities are determined to bring this 51-day-old standoff to an end. We had heard earlier from federal authorities that they are planning to take the compound down building by building. And there you're looking at a live picture in Waco, Texas. I want to remind you once again, yes, the picture is bouncy. It is because we have a camera that's up on scaffolding with winds that are gusting, and that's the reason why. CNN's Charles Jaco is joining us with some late information. Charles?
Well, Donna, as has been pointed out, you're not seeing any federal agents outside any of these vehicles, and federal law enforcement sources say the reason for that is there's a very good chance federal agents are not going to go into the building. As CNN's Robert Vito reported, it seems that their plan now is to knock down this compound building, a building at a time, and that at this point at least, as federal sources told us, unless things change drastically, you're not going to see federal agents going into the building trying to bring this to a standoff to an end immediately. We got some details, again, from federal law enforcement sources about what happened. At around 5:30 this morning, Waco, Texas time, a telephone call was made inside the compound with words to the effect of, you guys had better come out or we're going to start punching holes in things and pumping in gas. There was not a satisfactory response, so that approximately 4 or 5 minutes after 6 in the morning, Waco time, the first holes were punched into the building and some amounts of gas were put in. As the federal sources claim that a couple of flashbang devices were used. These provide loud noises, big flashes, no shrapnel or anything like that. According to these sources, almost immediately after that, the members of the cult inside picked up the phone and called the FBI command post and said, hey, we want to talk. And supposedly the FBI's response was, you people have got a few minutes to come out, and they hung up the phone on them. Then things proceeded to the point that where we have seen where these devices have been used, these construction armored tracked vehicles to punch holes in the side of buildings. As we've been led to understand, a certain amount of gas has been pumped in there. And again, the theory and the plan at this point, and we have to emphasize that that this is only what it seems to be like from our conversation with federal law enforcement sources, is that they may try to drive them from the main building, that is members of the cult, and knock down buildings a few at a time, making quarters uninhabitable. As you can see from this live picture right now, a large chunk of one wall is missing. These were not, as we understand it, exceptionally thick walls in the first place. There was some reinforcing with some cinder blocks, but attorneys for some of the cult members have claimed that these people who've been inside the compound long before the siege was ever started said this is not an exceptionally well-constructed place, and from this picture you're seeing, it certainly shows that. But the bottom line is, unless things change drastically, federal law enforcement sources say we should not expect to see federal agents charging in. So once again, they may be trying to turn up the pressure drastically at this time, but turn it up a degree at a time, hoping that everyone will walk out and there won't have to be a full-scale assault with agents.
Charles, are you able to clarify and confirm for us whether or not gas has indeed been pumped into the compound? Well,
federal law enforcement sources say that a certain amount of gas was indeed used to clear out rooms, to drive people from certain areas. You know, of course, anybody could be mistaken, I suppose, but these sources claim, say unequivocally, yes, gas was used, not huge amounts of it, but that it was used to clear out rooms, the theory being, one supposes, that the more rooms that are uninhabitable, the more people might congregate in a specific area of the compound.
And Robert Vito reported that they were trying to isolate the people, too. Charles Jaco, thanks very much. I want to remind folks that in about 45 minutes, we are scheduled to have an FBI briefing at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and CNN is planning to bring you live coverage of that. Bob?
Among developments today that have been preempted by the relatively more urgent events unfolding in Waco, what is going on in the eastern Bosnian town of Srebrenica? There, most of the estimated 30,000 frightened Muslim refugees are being prevented from evacuating. Earlier reports suggested the evacuation of able-bodied residents would come after the wounded were flown out. United Nations convoy trucks carrying food are apparently prepared to evacuate civilians if conditions allowed, if military authorities let them. UN helicopters transported more than 100 wounded and sick people from Srebrenica yesterday to the government-held town, the Muslim-held town of Tuzla. Their departure was permitted under a UN-monitored ceasefire agreement between Srebrenica's Serb besiegers and its Muslim defenders. U.S. President Bill Clinton and his British counterpart John Major are discussing tougher sanctions against the former Yugoslavia. In a 50-minute-long telephone conversation yesterday, the two leaders discussed the importance of maintaining the UN ceasefire agreement and continuing to exert pressure on the Serbs. We continue with our live coverage of events unfolding in Waco and other news after this.